So this is a piece of blue zircon. It weighs in about 22.3 carats, and it's kind of an odd shape. It's thick enough for pretty much anything I need, but the shape looks to me like maybe a marquee or a kite shape would work. So I think I'll try, I've got a kite shape design I want to try. And this piece is rather large, so let me give it a try with the kite shape for this zircon. Okay, for our zircon, this is the way I want to put it into the index as a kind of a kite shape. And so I just lock this in place with the set screw, and we'll be ready to start cutting on this kite design. My current favorite kite shape design is called Flight of Blue by the late Jeff Graham, which I have cut before. And this is how this blue or teal, kind of blue-green colored zircon should look once I cut it with this design. And just as a reminder, zircon is a natural gemstone, not lab created. People often confuse the name of zircon with that of cubic zirconia or CZ, which is a lab created gemstone. Zircon is natural. This design can be found in Jeff's book, More Money Cuts, Additional Designs number 7. Unfortunately, this design is copyrighted, so I can't show you the cutting instructions. If you like the design, you will have to buy the book, and I only know of one lapidary supply store which sells all of Jeff's books, and that's called The Rock Peddler, which you can find online. I know some of you are going to search all the used book sites, eBay and so forth, looking for used copies of Jeff's books, and all I can say is good luck. I tried. I've never seen any of Jeff's books on any of those sites, but it's worth a look. And if anyone does know of other good sources for Jeff's books, please share them in the comments. And no, currently I don't have all of Jeff's books in my collection yet. Okay, I've finished pre-polishing our gemstone with 13,000 grit diamond on a bat lap on these facets and the girdle facets. And I haven't yet pre-polished these very bottom facets on the pavilion, just so you can see the difference between a 12M and a 13,000 grit diamond. 12M is about a 1,500 grit diamond. And what I just, it did fine, it pre-polished fine, and it'll make a nice polish going from a 13,000 grit to my polish. But I'm thinking if I did it over, I would use 8,000 grit diamond on my zinc lap. Not that the zinc lap or the bat lap is the difference, but an 8,000 grit versus a 13,000 grit. I would have pre-polished these much quicker, going from the 12M to the pre-polish with an 8,000 grit diamond rather than 13,000 grit. So it isn't a big deal, but I'm looking going forward. I think the 8,000 grit would be more of my go-to lap than the 13,000 grit. Okay, for my polishing my zircon, I'm going to use my aluminum oxide bat stick and my crystallite tin lap. And the way you sharpen, or as you use your bat sticks, you just need a kind of a old pencil sharpener to cut through the plastic outside of the bat stick and keep on using it. I've used quite a bit of this bat stick. The reason I'm going to use my crystallite tin lap is because I was looking at what the late Jeff Graham had. He had some notes on what he used to polish various gemstones, and his go-to method for polishing zircon was tin lap and aluminum oxide, so that's what I'm going to try. He says a scored tin lap, and I don't think anybody scores laps anymore. I'm sure some fasteners do, but I don't score any of my laps. If you do score your lap, please let us know in the comments how that works out for you. This is the video I made a while back where I explained how to go back in time in the internet using a program called the Wayback Machine and access Jeff's old website. There are many articles written by Jeff
including his list of which laps and which polishes he uses or preferred to polish various gem material with. Very useful, as well as about 24 free gem designs and numerous other articles for those of you that are interested.
I finished polishing the bottom half, or the pavilion, of our zircon, so now I'm going to transfer our stone and cut the upper half. Okay, I've got our zircon put into my transfer fixture. I'm ready to transfer and glue the bottom part onto the dop so I can cut the top part of the stone. So with the shape of this pavilion, I could use either a cone-shaped dop that has kind of a cone shape in the bottom, or I could use a V shape because there's kind of a culet or a line along the pavilion, and that's what I'm going to use, is the V shape dop. So I'm going to line things up so that the stone fits into our dop. And then the upper half of our stone, when I originally glued this to the dop, I used two-part epoxy. And when I use two-part epoxy, currently I'm using the Devcon 5-minute epoxy. But I have used JB Weld, which also worked without any problems. So there's a lot of good 5-minute epoxies on the market if you want. But for the bottom, to glue the pavilion here, I'm going to use my UV light activated super glue by Helios. So all I need to do is put the super glue into the dop, and then when I set things up just the way I want them, I can hit it with my UV light, and it takes about 2 seconds to make the super glue cure. So let me go ahead and do that. So I just pushed the stone onto the dop, tighten up the transfer fixture, move the transfer fixtures around to let gravity do its work, and let the super glue flow both onto the stone and the dop. And then when I'm ready, I just use my UV light, and in about, like I said, it takes only about 2 seconds for the UV super glue, to cure. And the advantage is I can use this dop with this stone right away and go right back to faceting. Whereas with the regular super glue, I would generally wait a few hours, and with two-part epoxy, I'd generally wait overnight, although you didn't necessarily have to. But with this UV activated super glue, you can go back to cutting right away. That was more than enough time, and I can feel with my finger that the glue is set. It's hard as a rock. So we're ready to continue cutting our gemstone. So I've finished polishing up the upper half of our stone. I still need to cut and polish the table, but the color of this gemstone really is amazing color. I really like the color of this zircon. So let me set my stone up to cut and polish the table. All right, I polished the table of our zircon with a 60,000 grit diamond on a bat lap. It polished right up beautifully. So now I will soak the stone in acetone and then weigh it, measure it, and send it off to BOPIE. This really is a nice shade of blue. I want to see what it looks like once we get it off the dop.
Today I cut a kite-shaped design called Flight of Blue using a beautifully colored, I call it teal colored piece of zircon, which my wife BOPIE had purchased for me a long time ago. I don't think my camera is doing justice to this awesome color. BOPIE purchased this rough when I was off working somewhere. I'm not sure if I was in Afghanistan, Iraq, Southern Sudan, or Bosnia at the time, but that particular year, BOPIE went to the Tucson shows without me. She visited Thomas S., who's a well-known gem rough dealer, and as a surprise to me, Thomas and BOPIE sat down and picked out a handful of really nice pieces of rough for me, which she then hid. Well, actually, she hid them in plain sight in my gem rough inventory box, where I found them about a year or so later with a very touching note. What a great wife. The Flight of Blue design is not at all difficult to cut, but you do have to cut both the length and the width to the length to width ratio, which Jeff provided in the instructions, or you're going to have problems getting the facets to line up. Please let me know in the comments what you think of this design and of this piece of zircon. And as always, happy fasting, everyone.